And 111, well, that's where we did yesterday. Okay, so remember, America had a big issue going on. What terrible thing was going on during this time in history? You did have all the colonies and all of that, the war, the flags, but there was something that was really bad that was going on. Cadence, what was it?
They were having an argument.
Well, about what? What was the problem?
Uh, you wanted their
Cu-
own flag or something?
No, let's see. Cullen, what you have?
They wanted the Southern wanted to like separate the Union, I think.
Oh, no, that's not quite it. There was something that was a problem. Josiah.
Slavery.
Slavery was the terrible thing going on at that time. So slavery became a big issue because you had the South that felt a way about slavery, and you had the North that felt a certain way about the slavery. So the South, that's where a lot of the slaves were working on plantations in the South. So a lot of the people who lived in the South, not a lot, some of them that live in the South, they felt like they wanted to keep their slaves so that their plantations could continue to thrive. Remember, they were plantations. That's where they would work on the farms and stuff. So they also felt like they didn't want to be a part of the United States anymore. And the South felt like they wanted to make their own laws. They were like, you know what? We should be able to make our own laws and do whatever we feel is best. And we want to keep our slaves. Now, the North was different. They felt like the South should stay a part of the Union, that they should not separate, and also that they should let the slaves go free. So America was in this big war, well, not this war, but this big disagreement. So they needed a leader, which we talked about, Abraham Lincoln. He was born on February 12th in Kentucky in a one-room log cabin. He grew up from a poor family, but that did not stop him from becoming great because eventually he became our 16th president in 1860. So he knew there was an issue and he knew that he needed to solve it quick. So let's pick up today on page 112 where we had stopped on yesterday. So let's see what Abraham Lincoln decided to do about this big issue in America. Okay, go Omar. 112.
Although he tried hard to stop the Opium fighting broke out, a very sad time followed when our country fought the Civil War against South. Sometimes the war is also called the war between the states. America's soldiers fought on both sides of this war. South fought for the states' rights, the North fought to keep our country together. In the end, the North won and the United States remained one nation. President Lincoln had kept the country together. He made plans to help the people of the country to become friends again.
Good, thank you. So Abraham Lincoln tried his hardest to avoid a war, because it would have been Americans fighting Americans. But eventually, remember the South, they had formed, remember they wanted to pick their own president? Well, they did. Jefferson Davis, they picked their own president, and they also called themselves the Confederate States. And so because of that, it was just too divided, and Abraham Lincoln wanted to join everything together. And unfortunately, they had to have a war. So the North and the South began to fight. The North was fighting to keep the United States together. The South was fighting to stay divided and also to keep their slaves. That was also a part of it as well. And some slaves actually had to fight in this war. That's not right at all. But yes, so some of the slaves were even fighting in the war. So this was actually called the Civil War. And so it lasted for 4 years. So 4 years they fought one another. And some of them were actually family because some families were divided. Some families felt like they wanted to be with the South. Some families felt like they wanted to be with the North. And so sometimes families would fight one another inside of the war. So on January 6th in 1863, President Lincoln, he signed what was called the Emancipation Proclamation. And so this freed all of the slaves, okay? So when he wrote this document, this allowed a lot of the slaves to become free. And so that's what they wanted, right? The slaves to become free. So the North ended up winning, which that was the side that Lincoln was on, and that was the side where the slaves would become free. The North wanted them to become free. So that's who won. And so the South ended up losing. So yeah. Okay.
Yay.
Yep. All right, so let's keep reading page 113. All right, let's see. Go ahead, Bailey. Unmute.
The top of 100.
Mhm.
Okay. Only 5 days after the war was over, President Lincoln took his wife to see the play. A terrible thing happened there. An actor sneaked into the theater box where our president sat and shot him. Our country mourned the death of this great leader. People remembered Abraham Lincoln as a great
Patriot.
patriot who led our country during the very troubled times. To honor Lincoln, many towns, schools, and roads have been named after him as the memorial
Memorial.
to him, but
Perhaps.
perhaps the greatest memorial to Abraham Lincoln is the special place Americans have for him in their hearts. Through February 12th is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Many Americans celebrate his life on President's Day. Wait.
Good. Okay, so after the war ended, only 5 days. 5 days after the war was over, some people were upset about it. And Abraham Lincoln took his wife to see a play. They were in Washington, D.C. He went to Ford's Theater. You can actually, if you ever go to Washington, D.C., you can visit Ford's Theater. And that's where he was watching a play, and someone came and shot him and killed him. And so he was assassinated, unfortunately. And so everyone mourned because he was a great leader and America lost the president. And so, but we have a lot of things that honor Abraham Lincoln. There are schools named after him. He's actually on the $5 bill and he's on the penny as well, as far as coins. And so also we have what's called the Lincoln Memorial. If you look at the bottom, page 113, if you go to Washington, D.C., you could see the Lincoln Memorial.
I've been there before.
I've seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you could also visit the Lincoln Memorial, which he's sitting on like a chair inside of there. And so, yes, so if you ever go to Washington, D.C., you could go see the Lincoln Memorial. It's really nice. Very nice to see in person. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the page. I'll go ahead and finish for us. Okay, so we have Memorial Day, which is a holiday. So we're going to talk about 2 holidays. Also, don't forget his birthday is February 12th. That is a test question, okay? February 12th is his birthday. It's coming up in 2 weeks, by the way. Yes, Bailey?
My dad's birthday is February 12th.
Oh, wow. So him and Abraham Lincoln have the same birthday. So that's something you'll probably always remember, that his birthday and Abraham Lincoln's birthday is the same day. Okay, so we have 2 holidays. So we have what's called Memorial Day. We celebrate this in May. We're usually out of school by the time Memorial Day comes, so that's why we really don't have like school off or anything, or we talk about it in school because we're off of school. So each year on the last Monday in May, you will have to know this, the last Monday in May, Americans honor those who died while protecting the country. So all of those who died in war. So we had the Civil War. Remember with George Washington, there was a war, the War for American Independence. We had talked about that. All those who died in those wars, we honor them on what's called Memorial Day. And so you could see on the bottom of page 114, there's like the gravestones and there's the flags and people going there to honor their loved ones who, now this is military people who died in the military. That's, and they, so many, so 3 years after the Civil War had finished, beautiful flowers were blooming in May in the South. So on May 30th, a group of ladies from the South, they went and picked many beautiful flowers. They decorated the graves of the soldiers who had died, some in the North, some in the South. They decorated the graves, and they called that day Memorial Day. So it was a day that they set aside to honor all those who died in war, all those who fought in war and died. And so, yes, and so not everybody who fights in a war dies. Some people, they go to war and they do survive. So let's turn the page. There's a holiday for them as well. So Memorial Day, the last Monday in May, celebrates those who died in war. Now, Veterans Day celebrates all people who are in the military. Okay, does anyone know someone that's in the military? That they may be in the Air Force, the military, the Marines, any of that? Do you know someone?
I think my dad.
Yeah, your dad? Okay.
My dad is. He's in the army.
Yeah, he's in the army. Okay, so yeah, so some of your parents may be in the military. So Veterans Day is a day that is set aside to honor them. So on Veterans Day, we honor all Americans who have served in the country's military. A veteran is a person who has served in the U.S. Army, Air Force, the Navy, or the Marines, or Coast Guard. Some of our country's veterans are still living, like some of you said your parents, and maybe some of your grandparents are aunts, uncles, cousins, and some of them are not. But like I said, some of them have died in war, Memorial Day, but some of them are still living, and so that's where you honor them for Veterans Day. So Veterans Day is always on November 11th, every single year, November 11th, okay?
Miss Vision.
So every year on November 11th, a lot of people celebrate Veterans Day. So some parades, some towns have parades, some towns will have marches. Some people, people do different things for Veterans Day. It just all depends, okay?
Miss
So
Vision.
that's two holidays that come from this, Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Memorial Day is to honor all those who have died in war. Veterans Day is to honor all of those that are in the military, okay? So that's the Civil War. And so that was the war that Abraham Lincoln was a part of during his presidency. North and South were fighting, had their own reasons why they were fighting. War is never right sometimes. Well, no, but yeah. So that's our social studies lesson this week, okay?